Okay. Hi, my name is Richard.lesperance. I go by the name of my man Richard. Welcome to a better lifestyle. Today I have Alexandra Dotcheva. I hope I got the name right.
Alexandra Dotcheva, yes. Hey, Richard, how are you?
I'm okay. You. She's Today we're going to talk about self-confidence, and she also has a book out, and we'll talk about that. So, Alexandra, please tell the people a little bit about your story, and we'll get started.
Sure, thank you for having me, Richard. I am a former violinist of 26 years, turned registered nurse for the last 13 years, and a real estate investor for the last 10 years. And I did write the book because I did struggle with self-confidence for over 2 decades, and many people started asking, how did you turn into this, successful nurse after switching from music into science, and then a real estate investor, completely financially independent immigrant from Bulgaria to the United States. And I then figured out I had done pretty much all of my steps to today's state of my finances and everything, career, you name it, using the same system like I did with my health when I became a nurse. And so the book came as a very natural development of also my coaching and mentoring people. So it was one pretty much homogenous process that took place over the last 15 years.
So how did you deal with self-confidence? How did you manage to have that self-confidence back?
So it started very early. I was around 11, I believe, when I realized I was not the most socially liked child, so socially awkward for a variety of reasons, and I could never really fit in any environments, whether it was people my age or adults. And I developed this mindset of not expecting anything good to happen with any event or anywhere I was, and developed a mindset of low expectations and emphasizing the negative side of events rather than striving to seek positive. And over the course of the next 20 years, I really conned myself into believing that everything was against me and bad. And that manifested into some pretty weird stage fright that I developed as a musician because I was a performing violinist. I was in a specialized music school for 12 years and then the academy, music college for 11 years until I finished my doctoral degree here in the United States. So that mindset ended up truly crushing my self-confidence and belief in my abilities to succeed in anything. Not to mention that, realistically speaking, I was very specialized in just arts and music, so I knew nothing else about the rest of the world, right? And then when the financial crisis hit in 2006, 2008, especially when it peaked, I realized I had to change my life, go into a completely different field if I ever wanted to have financial stability and any confidence for that matter. And that's where things changed because I had to confront the self-defeatist mindset that I had developed for 20 years, starting from me not being able to fit in society in ways that I wanted to from very early age. And I had to open myself up to get out of the practice room where I practiced 7 to 9 hours a day. And then, of course, I worked in the Syracuse Symphony Orchestra. So I did uh, have contacts with colleagues and all that, but it was nothing like getting into the real world outside of the arts and learning how other people lived, the suffering of sick people, how nurses lived, and all that. So putting myself through nursing school really opened the doors to many other opportunities. And then, of course, when I entered the workforce as a nurse and saw how the nurses actually lived, then it really lit up in my brain that, oh, I need to start investing too, because having a secure job is a myth in the United States. And I have to learn how to create cash flowing assets that are unrelated to my job and develop the financial discipline to subsidize these assets until they start really, until they grow and I can rely on them to not have to depend on a job. So all these steps. So basically, Richard, I put myself through some very intimidating periods in my life. Switching careers from arts to science was unheard of in many, many ways. I only knew one or two people who had done that before. I surely wasn't confident enough to feel that I could do it, but I made myself do it because I developed this fear of poverty, which was ingrained from early age because I'm from an Eastern European country that used to be super poor and is still corrupt and poor for many people. But Then when I jumped into investing was another set of responsibilities that I had to assume and hold myself accountable for every step I made. And all these things over the course of last 15 years tremendously helped with my self-confidence. Basically, I solved all the problems I thought I had that I couldn't solve. And once this happened, everything in my mindset changed and belief in myself and the success. And today I really don't have to work if I don't want to. And I have many more choices because of the confidence I have gained.
So what would you say to someone who is dealing with self-confidence?
Can you say that again? I'm sorry, you're fading.
I said, what would you say to someone who is dealing with self-confidence at the moment?
Yeah, so at the moment, if you're going through a midlife crisis, if you're at crossroads in life, embrace the moment because it's a great chance to progress in your life and build amazing value to your life. If you're generally struggling with self-confidence, that means you're not stressing yourself enough. You're not challenging yourself enough to really overcome things that you are absolutely capable of overcoming, but you're afraid because you're afraid of failure, and you really should not care too much about what others think about you, because ultimately that doesn't matter. But if you define some interesting goals for yourself, and if you have 2 or 3 crazy goals, seemingly crazy goals to you, understand that there are people out there who have overcome much more. And if you learn from their experiences through their books or interviews or meet them, anything, you will understand that the uniqueness of your current situation cannot be an excuse for you not to challenge yourself and change your life, because everybody has a different situation, but many of us like to use it as an excuse. Oh yeah, he succeeded, but see, mine is different. I won't be able to do this because of such and such circumstances. Face your problems, especially the ones that you hate the most. If you solve the most hated problems in your life first, your confidence will jump, to skyrocket before you know it. And it's easy, but starting it is really hard. That's what I can tell this person.
So how does someone build confidence? Do you have any tips that people would use?
Yes. So my coaching system is very simple. Doesn't mean it's easy to do, but I address things holistically. So many times when people say holistic, they think about physical, mental, and spiritual health, which I'm huge on because I'm a healthcare professional and I have to serve as an example not only to my patients, but only to my coworkers, many of whom don't live healthy lifestyles, right? So the way I approach confidence is holistically. I teach people how to optimize their health. From the health, so there are like 5 life aspects, right? There is health, there is spirituality, there is career, finances, and relationships in the system I teach. All of these areas need work at all times, but you first have to clean the impediments to your success in each of these areas if you want to build value into any of them. And we all have problems with health, most people in America. The credit card crisis is notorious in the United States, so financial problems. And then the relationship problems, that's no secret to anybody, that if you choose the wrong people to hang around, they will influence you poorly in your health, in your finances, and everything else in your life. So all these 5 areas, you have to very carefully set your goals, what you want to accomplish in each of them, and then you build from there. All right. So you have to optimize these areas. And if you do this, and see, my book is a very practical system where I described in each of these areas how you can eliminate the impediments to your success and how you build per your goals and dreams. And the more ambitious the goals, the better, honestly. But with your health, you need to adopt a lifestyle that is unassociated with the profitable chronic disease today. Because if you're not healthy, you won't be, it's very hard to become wealthy if you have to pay expensive health bills on a chronic disease or something that doesn't get, it's maintained over the course of decades with medications or surgeries or what you have it. And the discipline goes from your health then to your finances and your relationships. It's very connected, and many people don't see the connection. I see this with my patients all the time when I work with them. I see this with my financial mentees, because people focus on one particular area that they think is their biggest problem, but actually everything else is problematic too, because you have neglected it for many years. Okay, so the way I approach holistic is from the health perspective, from the financial perspective, career perspective, and relationships, and ultimately spirituality goes into all this, because you need to have the clear mind to set the goals, stick to your plan without compromise, and then you have to have the inspiration from those who have succeeded before you. So you can see, hey, if she could, if he could, I can. Right? To keep you always afloat with your hope and firm belief in your abilities and capabilities, so you can build the resilience to get to where you want to be if you're not confident right now.
Sometimes it's hard for people to embrace who they are because of all of the weaknesses that they have. What would you say about that?
Well, depending on your situation, I mean, we can work on every aspect separately or all of them combined. I always urge people to work on each one of these 5 aspects, because they get surprised in the end after the 3-month course that I put them through, how every one of these aspects is improved and how connected it is to the other aspects of their lives. Because if you don't see the big picture of your life, you won't be able to to complete successfully big goals and really believe that you can move your life to the very, very next level. Sometimes to levels you never imagined. Because see, my family was never wealthy. There were periods that we always struggled financially and from paycheck to paycheck. And I did have ingrained this idea that, okay, musicians, they're poor. They don't really, they don't live very rich lives and all that. And that was a huge handicap for me mentally to pursue what I have now, even earlier in my life. So I started all this development in my mid-30s, which by all definitions is late. But now I know it wasn't late, because when you hit 30, you figure out, oh, okay, so I've worked all my life and I have nothing to show for. And that's where you crash, right? It's a midlife crisis and you are unaccomplished, unfulfilled. And then there is a choice. You either go up or you stay where you are. But please realize there is a lot to do in the next 10, 20 years of your life. And that's where people stumble very often. They really overestimate what they can accomplish in a year or two. They overestimate and then they get disappointed that they didn't. But they profoundly underestimate what they can do in the course of 10 or 15 years. But you have to stay the course and be disciplined, and then in 10 and 15 years, you're a completely different person. And it's a beautiful feeling, because you really climbed a mountain that you thought you never could climb. And the limitations get overcome over the course of the first 5 years. And then from the first 5 years to the next 5 to 10 years, you build on your confidence. And it's just a tremendous accomplishment at the end. And then nothing can stop you. But the fears and the limitations are to be addressed, and people shy away from them. They don't like to talk about these things very often. And that's what procrastination is, a form of procrastination, when you don't face your problems right away, right here and right there and right now.
Failure can destroy someone's self-confidence. What would you say about that?
Again, you're fading again. One more time, please.
I said failure can destroy someone's self-confidence. What would you say about that?
It can, if you let it. But if you're curious enough on how you can build your self-confidence once it's destroyed, if you really want to work on that, you will always be able to do it. Were you asking about fears? You're still fading in the...
No, not fear, failure.
Failures, of course. So any failure that you experience for something that you deeply care about can destroy your self-confidence. Not so much the failures that you experience if you're pursuing things that others think are important, but something that you deeply feel is very important and you fail on that. that can be very destroying to your self-confidence. However, you need to understand that, and that's when people really don't explore their dreams and real desires, because they're very afraid to get hurt by failing at something they truly care about, and then they don't pursue the things they deeply care about. I know many examples like that. But if you really, really care about a goal, you should be able to also take the risks and risk failure. Because in the academic world, which most of us are very familiar with, failure is considered a bad thing, right? Making mistakes is a bad thing. But in the real world, in the business world, failure is a learning opportunity. And if you view it that way, of course, and I'm not saying anything new right now, but the connection between failure with something that you deeply care about and a huge learning experience is really can never be overestimated. It's extremely important to fail, and fail early, as early as possible in your endeavor that you deeply care about the outcome of that endeavor. That's the best learning opportunity, and people fail inevitably because whatever you learn that you really care about, the parts that you learn in a formal program or at school, they're just the basics. Then you go on to the real world and you will see that what you have learned covers very little of the actual problems that whatever you care about is supposed to solve. And when you can't solve the problems with your knowledge, then you consider this a failure and you're disappointed and it crushes your self-confidence. Whereas really the real world is the starting of the learning curve. The basics that you learned, any endeavor, say you really wanted to develop a real estate investment business, like I started in 2014, right? I purchased a course. I had excellent mentorship. I learned everything I could. Then I bought my own first property. And of course, the problems were different from what I learned in the course. And at first, like, oh my gosh, am I really cut out for this? But I said, oh, wait a minute, you invested in this course. You have to learn the basics. And there was a warning somewhere in the course that your situation is going to be different. So you will have to solve your own problems. So I stuck to that idea. And I said, it's never going to be like the people who taught me. Mine is going to be different because I'm dealing through different situations, different financial stage in the years in the United States economy. So there are going to be different challenges. And that's where you realize, okay, I've learned what I've learned. Now I get my own experience. And then every failure, you learn from it, and eventually you don't fail so much and you become successful. So that's how you understand, okay, failure does not have to crush my self-confidence. Because ultimately, remember, it doesn't matter what others think about me. It's not my business. I am on my own path. And if I fail once, I fail twice, great, but I'm going to get up. That's what builds confidence. It's not your life going smoothly every day and without any rainy day. That doesn't build confidence. Solving real bad problems builds confidence.
So talk to us about the book.
The book can be found on my website, holisticselfconfidence.com. The paperback is available on the website only in the US. The ebook is available worldwide on the website, Amazon, Smashwords, Apple Books, Barnes & Noble. Same price for the ebook. Very easy to download. The book is a practical guide. So I have 5 chapters dedicated on health optimization. Then I have a chapter on spirituality. I have several chapters on financial progress. The first chapter about financial discipline and how to build the wealth, the money to invest. Then I have a chapter on becoming an independent investor who actively manages their portfolio of tangible assets. And I describe how I developed my 3 real estate businesses. There is a chapter on relationships, a very important chapter. And then there are several chapters on mindset. So how to embrace challenges, how to recognize the situation you're currently in and prompt yourself to make the progress in your life that you want so that you will become a happy person at the end. If you actually sort through your fears, through your self-limitations, and determine goals that you really care about, that are your own goals, not mom's goals, dad's goals, your siblings' goals, your friends' goals for you, your own goals. There are exercises for lifelong learning to maintain your mind fresh and very active and not go into obsolescence as you get older, because with today's changing technology and everything changes so fast, we can become old and obsolete very quickly. But if you want to stay in the game and keep progressing with your health and finances and relationships, you need to be very vigilant of what's going on around you. Gotta pay attention. And you need to train your mind to stay vigilant and willing to learn more and more things as you get older, because with age we tend to get a little bit tired and apathetic, and we really have to stay away from that frame of mind if we want to keep up with time and be ahead of the game financially and personally in any other aspect. So the book is truly about a very holistic guide on how to bring your health to optimal level, your finances to optimal level, and your relationships to optimal level. And it's been very helpful to many people so far for the testimonials.
Sometimes people are very hard to themselves when it comes to how they see themselves. What's your take on that?
That is also part of a low self-confidence and low self-esteem. I used to be extremely hard on myself, and that nearly crushed me, right, until I became in my early 30s. So being hard on yourself is good as soon as you use it as a motivating factor, a sincere motivating factor. But if you're bashing yourself because you haven't searched a solution to your problem and you're repeating the same mistake, or if you're bashing yourself to seek attention and empathy from others, then you have to change that mindset as soon as possible, because I was one of those, right? When I was a violinist, I had the stage fright. I practiced hours and hours and hours and hours every day, and I didn't get the results I wanted on stage. So I started telling people I was, stupid, I was not talented and all that. And I had to, and people, of course, oh, no, 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 you're wonderful. I wanted these approval reactions for many, many years. And that brought me absolutely nowhere, because I was bashing myself, but it was not the right way to do it, to motivate myself. It was to crave attention and get attention. So if that's what you're doing, stop doing it right now. And if you are hard on yourself, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I am very hard on myself if I feel like I'm getting into a lazy mindset. And then I tell myself, no, no, get up and do the work. I have these moments still, and I use this as an anxiety prompt, as a little bit of kick in the butt when you're hard on yourself, to really do exactly what you've planned on doing for your day and not deviate from your plan. So that's a good way to be hard on yourself. But if you're doing it just because you haven't developed a plan how to get out of that mindset and really do the action steps to bring you to the next level, you have to re-examine why exactly you're hard on yourself and how is it helping you or not helping you, if that makes sense.
Talk to us about how important is to have a good surroundings.
Yes, sir, absolutely. In many ways, being by yourself is better than being surrounding yourself with the wrong people. Okay, so craving social interactions is not in your favor if you're staying with the wrong people. So if you're with people who are listening to your whining and empathizing with that, you're in the wrong company. If you are with people who are keeping you slightly nervous because they are very successful and they prefer to talk about their work and success rather than complain, then you are in the right company, because you can learn from these people and they can help you if you ask them in the right way to help you without putting in the equation all of your fears, complaints, complexes, and insecurities, because they don't like hearing about that. But if you use this company to learn and apply their experience and approach to success to your own goals, then you are in the right company. Okay. And the more you grow personally and financially, the more you will seek people who are more and more demanding to themselves. And then, well, they'll expect more from you because they have gotten there by being demanding to themselves. So you gradually will also how do I say, you will improve your company, not improve, but you will, it evolves. It evolves, your choice of relationships evolves per your achievements, if I can say that way, because it really matters who you are around, or whose books you read, whose interviews you listen, and whom you learn from to become the person that you are and change your mindset and get influenced by people who truly positively inspire you. Okay. And in many ways, I prefer to work by myself. I don't partner with too many people because I don't want to depend on anybody else's ideas. See, I manage all of my assets completely independently. I never let any financial advisor touch my money, for example, because I'm perfectly able to grow a huge portfolio on my own. But I committed to learning first from people who did the same thing, who started from nowhere, made themselves millionaires by learning and handling their own assets. So these are the people I surrounded myself with, whether through information products or through mentorship or occasionally a personal meeting. All right. And then I proceed on my own. It's very important to learn to be alone and being comfortable with being alone. Because if you're surrounding yourself with people just for the sake of socialization or reassurance, that's really not a healthy way to have relationships, in my opinion and experience.
Last words in regards to everything we talked about.
Well, I've said it many times. I mean, if you really, really, really want to improve your life and confidence and everything, good relation with yourself, you have to start today, and you need to start from where you are. Because if you wait for your situation to improve, it won't improve unless you improve it. So don't get into the wicked circle of waiting for the circumstances to get better for you to start doing whatever you want to start doing. You can start right this moment, just even by learning about what you want to accomplish. Not necessarily take the first action steps, but if you take the action steps, even better. Because when you're in your 20s, early 30s, you kind of think you have time, but you really don't if you knew how long it takes to learn certain things well, especially the things you care about long term. So don't procrastinate, start today, face your problems, fail a couple of times. It's okay. Whoever doesn't fail, that's somebody who probably has done nothing important in their lives. And if you don't want to be that person, take the risk and go with it.
Where can people find you on social media or the internet?
The best way to start is my website, holisticselfconfidence.com. So everything about the book is there, my coaching explanation. I mean, they email me to schedule appointments. I give a free appointment for the first appointment. It's always free to see for a good match as a coach and mentee. But there is also a blog on the website and links to all of my social media: Facebook, Twitter, now X, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So the website is holisticselfconfidence.com.